Hi, my name is Louise.
And hi, I am Emma.
And you're listening to Murder or Myth,
the true crime podcast where not everything is true.
The aim of the game is to find out whether the story is actually a murder or if it's just a myth.
Now, let's get started. Hi, Louise.
Hi, Emma. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good.
We're on week 50.
Facts.
Episode 50. That's a lot of murder stories.
I actually think it's been a lot of work.
We're going to have to count up how many myths versus murders we've done. That'd be interesting. Stats.
Yeah.
Collect them up. Maybe a listener could do that for us. Contact us if you want to get involved.
There's some merch there for you if you...
Merch at some
if
point
it's worth
in
it
time.
to you.
Yeah. There might be an exact timeline on that merch, but it'll be there.
I know. The merch would come pretty soon after this has been uploaded.
Okay. Yeah,
By the time they've counted it up, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident.
That's going to take a while. There's a good solid day of work there.
Although you could just listen to the end of each episode, like...
Yeah, but where's the fun in that?
You'd miss all the
bounce.
banter.
All the great time we've had. Okay, let's get into the story. Are you ready for it?
More than ever.
Okay, perfect. So, it was the 13th of November in 1989 in Boston, Massachusetts. And Alison Redding did not show up for her job at a local restaurant called the Capitol Grill. Worried co-workers tried calling her husband Travis to question him about her whereabouts. Travis had been out of town on business in Carolina. He called the local police department to report her missing after learning of the uncharacteristic missing of her work shift. She was reported missing 9 hours after failing to show up for work that day. A missing person investigation ensued, with the local police department requesting info from members of the public and conducting a door-to-door canvassing to try and create a map of Miss Redding's whereabouts. Little information surfaced, and with Mr. Redding passing his polygraph test, he was removed as a possible suspect. Police were left baffled as to how Alison vanished without a trace of witness testimony or footage. The case quickly ran cold, and in January of 1990, the case was stripped of manpower, with just one cop left to follow up on potential leads. The officer manned a hotline for the case with little luck until the 6th of March, when she received an anonymous tip from a phone call. The caller provided details of an illicit affair Mr. Redding had had in the lead up to Alison's disappearance, with the mistress had now moved in with him. The source stated that they knew Mrs. Redding, and she had confided in them that the suspect, Mr. Redding, of wanting to divorce her and get her out of his life just before his disappearance. Her disappearance. Jesus, I'm rusty.
It's actually really tough after... I actually notice it sometimes when I'm editing. Like, you can definitely tell when we record 6 in a row.
Like a few,
the 6th, the 5th, or... Yeah, no, it'd be for my case the 5th. The 5th episode always sounds...
I think
like
also,
most confident and like also most relaxed. I think like I think like even the fact that like in the last episode and this episode we didn't interact that much. Like I feel like by the time we get up to 5 and 6, like we're interacting a lot more. But it's just like I'm just sitting here listening quietly.
I think also the writing. This is the early part of the story that I wrote late at night, and the grammar is non-existent.
So are you misreading his and her, or did you just
his
miswrite
and her
his and her?
Wrote wrong in the first sentence, while I was severely confused.
It's thrown you off.
And then I wrote his and her an immense amount of times.
Yeah, fair.
They were for sure wrong in the first
It's
sentence.
also heavily giving No Body, No Crime, which I told you to listen to recently.
Okay.
So... just off like initial thoughts, that's maybe leading me towards myth, but I'll continue to hear the rest of the story.
Yeah, keep it in mind.
I will.
So
Thanks.
Where am I now?
I think you're just past about the affair, yeah.
The police took the lead into consideration, but had no hard evidence or trail to pin Mr. Redding to any crime involving his wife. Fast forward to August of next year, and Mr. Redding failed to show up for a business meeting with a client. His boss rang his now fiancée, Betty, as of his whereabouts.
Betty?
Yeah. Shortly thereafter, he was reported missing. The missing person case was immediately escalated to high alert due to the circumstances with Mrs. Redding. Betty Style was the first suspect the police questioned due to her connection with Mr. Redding. She had provided an alibi that was backed up from a co-worker. However, police remained wary due to a failed polygraph test. Another incriminating detail was that 15 days earlier, she had taken out a life insurance policy.
Okay, so 100% I've got on to what...
I've not finished my story yet. No guessing
illicit affair. Did you say illicit affair?
Definitely said affair.
No life insurance policy. That's quote for quote from No Body, No Crime. Is this a Taylor Swift themed murder story?
We can wait till the end. Conflicting details and no forensic evidence slowed down the police department's investigation. The case was commandeered by the FBI to try and close it. However, Mrs. Stiles' alibi was proven. 7 years later, in 1997, the two cases were declared cold, and that is the end of the story.
1989 was one of the years. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say that this is a myth. No. I'm going to say that this is a myth. A Taylor Swift-themed myth. Similar to, I don't want to say our idea, because that could,
real. Don't give them a hint.
I don't want to give it a hint, but we've got an exciting idea coming up.
Yeah, I realised halfway through that this was extremely obvious, but I was like, she won't get it. She's not going to get it. It needs to be more. So that's why I put in illicit affair. And I was like...
Yeah. Oh. Well, I mean, was it based on No Body, No Crime?
Yes, based off that, and there was also, just throw in a bunch of Taylor Swift references.
Okay, because I've also listened to that song a lot, because there's someone on TikTok who did, a school project on it, where they acted it out.
Okay.
And I love watching that video, so I feel like the story of that song is very much in my head.
Okay. Because I was like, is this story enough?
Everything Clearly was enough. I got it very quickly.
Okay, well, I
hadn't got 1989 now, but actually at one point I was going to ask you which year did this take place in, because I had kind of missed that.
I highlighted all the references I put
into
it, if you want to hear them all.
I'd love to hear them all. This is also a great way to make a interesting longer episode.
A what?
Just an interesting longer episode.
A longer episode, yeah, okay. If there's any Taylor Swift fans out there.
Okay, can I guess? Was there any that I missed? And I'll try and see if I can guess them back before you say it.
There's some titles of songs, but they're kind of generic to fit in with my story.
Okay, can I think of it?
There's
Red there?
No, but Redding is their surname.
Okay.
So it's kind of a bit. There was lots of numbers. So the 13th of November 1989. Alison is her middle name. That's the name of the character.
Alison is whose middle name?
Taylor's.
Okay, I think I knew that.
Okay.
Because that also ringed a bell to me, and I also thought of her best friend, but I think that must be a different... maybe that's not Alison. She has a childhood best friend. Abigail. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That kind of reminded me.
I also genuinely did feel like I was having a stroke trying to read this. I was like, am I just nervous and messing this up? No, my English was just extremely
horrific. That's what I thought when I was reading my one, because I actually didn't feel nervous, but then I kept
not being able to read,
skipping over my words. But I think it's just not being used to recording.
Yeah, or maybe reading, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyways, the husband was Travis, so that's her boyfriend now.
That was good.
Carolina, he was in business. That's one of her songs.
Carolina.
I was just looking at it.
I was familiar with that one.
Yeah, I was just looking up words, song titles I could fit in. Okay, so details of an illicit affair. That because I had affair, and then I was like, I can get another thing in. I can get another thing in there, but that's what caught it.
Yeah, but it's funny that I got it off the story and not off the details, and then you obviously said Betty, and then you said Styles, and I was like, the cogs were turning.
You're like, it's gone, it's done. August of the next year, so that's one of her songs.
Yeah.
Betty.
Style
the surname, because I was like, Betty, is
and
that
it also kind of
good?
goes well with that she dated Harry Styles.
Okay, true. I was just saying Style because of the song.
Yeah.
And 15 is another name of a song. So 15 days later, and 7 is another name of a song.
That's very good.
I was just like, make it more obvious? No, it'll be fun.
That was an interesting approach that you sat down and you're like, I'm going to make this Taylor Swift themed. I feel like that sounds fun.
It was
based off the song.
No Body, No Crime based off of. And then I was like, let's just fire in a bunch of things in. I wonder, I'd love to know if it was just not named around that kind of... You probably would have got it if you know that story really well.
Yeah, well, I guessed it before before you said Betty. Yeah. Betty was what threw me off. But then
I'm thinking illicit affair is the max.
When I said, I'm thinking this is very closely based off No Body, No Crime, I was waiting to hear what you did at the end. 'Cause that was kind of going to give it to me whether I thought it was just a myth purely based off the song, or if I was going to like think about other details. But other than that, it was very well written.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, I need to get from point A to point B. I need all these details to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of fun as well to do something like that.
Something different.
So yeah,
I feel like the viewers would have enjoyed that.
Songs as inspiration, guys. Hopefully it was easily audible and...
Are you going to sing anything for us now from Taste?
Sing?
Yeah.
No.
A bit of No Body, No Crime? Mm-hmm. Yeah, also the fact that you put a full lyric of No Body, No Crime in it really gave it away to me. Yeah. Took out a life insurance policy.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Did you not know that's a lyric from the song?
No. Like, I was reading it as a story. I wasn't like...
Also, throughout this, I was kind of thinking, wouldn't it be funny if you also had to do with life insurance, like my previous episode, which I guess it kind of was, but that wasn't what you were going for. But
yeah,
they were kind of similar themed. Yeah.
No, I didn't. I mean, took out a life insurance policy is just a sentence.
Yeah, but that's quote of quote the way she said it in the song. Like, it's not like you could say it different ways.
I feel like if you're on Wikipedia, it would just say she took a life insurance policy out on him. Like, it's a very debatable, generic, I think, crime sentence. But okay, interesting.
No crime sentence.
I Easter egged myself on that one and put a lyric in that I didn't know.
That would have been funny if we had an Easter themed one that you did that, but it was like Easter eggs.
Okay, so we're only about 3 weeks behind on that idea.
Yeah, but Easter themed. Will we wrap it up there?
Thanks
for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe.
On this week's episode, Louise correctly guessed my myth was in fact a myth.
Find us on all streaming platforms.
And join us next week for another thrilling adventure.
Remember, it's myth until proven murder. Slay.